Johnson scores the upset at the Great Race Place. Pouch does it again down in the Garden State. We take the white flag with a fan-favorite second-generation driver. Don't flip out. It's time for Race Pro Weekly. Welcome to another edition of Race Pro Weekly. I'm your host, Mike Warren. Last season, the Jersey Jet Brett Hearn started the season at Albany-Saratoga with a victory en route to his second straight championship. With a plethora of drivers out there trying to take away his throne on opening night, would anybody be able to stop the Jet? Lyle DeVore bringing some fireworks out on opening night as it would be Floyd Billington and Jamike Soule leading the field to the green for the opener at the Albany-Saratoga Speedway. Soule will get the early advantage. He deal with some pressure from the 14 of Billington in the early going, but that 7-11 machine would stay towards the front for the time being. Defending champion, the Jersey Jet Brett Hearn, will be on the move as he'd make his way up the Speedway as well, and then Floyd Billington would get by the 7-11 of Soule for the race lead. Now Mark Johnson would be on the move as you'd see him get by the 7-11 of Soule for the number 2 spot and try to go to work on the 14 of Billington. Caution will come out for Jeremy Wilder and Bodie Bellinger, and off the restart, Soule will get the spot back. But the 3J of Johnson would go underneath him again, and now Brett Hearn comes into the fray. Now Hearn goes underneath the 7-11 of Soule to try to take the number 3 spot. But another caution in turn number 1 and 2 as Jeff Trombley, Mike Perotti, Pep Karate are also involved in the incident. Off the restart, this was Mark Johnson's best chance as he'd go to the outside of the 14 of Floyd Billington and he'd take the race lead off at turn number 2. Mark Johnson trying to go back-to-back, dating back to last season. The 20 of Hearn would continue to get by the 14 of Billington. Now he set his sights on race leader Mark Johnson. Close call for Mark Johnson as Hector Stratton gets into him after contact with Bodie Bellinger. Then the caution came out again for the SNS Asphalt Paving, car number 115 at Kenny Tremont. That restart would put Hearn on the back bumper of the 3J. And now Hearn to the inside lane. When the 3J of Johnson would bobble, he would go right underneath them heading into turn number 3 for what appeared to be taking the race lead. However, there was a caution in turn number 2 as you see the 816 of Jeff Rockefeller in the background stopped. And the track's policy is they go back to the last completed lap, which would give Mark Johnson the lead back. Johnson would have 3 laps to hold off the Jersey Jet Brett Hearn coming to the white flag this time by. Hearn would go to the outside lane trying to find something, and they head up for the final time. Johnson shutting the door on the inside lane, which is where Hearn got him the last time. They'd make their way through turn number 3 and 4 for the final time, and it would be Mark Johnson picking up the win.
Yeah, that was awesome. To race with Brett like that, he schooled me a little bit in some places, and I learned on that restart, and woo! That was awesome.
Top 5 in the modifieds would be Mark Johnson picking up the win, Brett Hearn finishing in the number 2 spot, Batman Peter Britton finishing in 3rd, Matt DiLorenzo 4th, and Jamike Soule rounding out the top 5. On opening night, Tim Hindley established himself as one of the top drivers for this season, looking to pick up the Orange County Fair Speedway Championship. But with a lot of veteran presence in the field, would he be able to go back-to-back in the early going? Jeremy Markle and Jeff Hetzler would lead the field to the green here for the modified feature event down on the hard clay. In the early going, a couple of cars on the move. You see the 21M of Bob McGannon making his way up a few positions on the inside lane. And then coming around Hollywood, Craig Mitchell would do the same as they head up into turn number 1 and 2. Billy Van Imwagen on the move in the TEN machine, getting by Markle for the number 2 spot in the early portion of this feature event as the caution came out for the 21 of Clinton Mills up in turn number 1 and 2. Off of the restart, it would be Jeff Hetzler regaining the advantage as Chuck McKee and Jerry Higbee would make their presence known as well. 3-wide battle as Tim Hindley would go to the outside lane of Jeremy Markle and Bob McGannon to take the spot. Now Richie Urich going to get in on the action as well, along with Chuck McKee on the outside lane as McGannon would go to the inside of Markle trying to take the spot away. McGannon would get that spot from Markle as they made it through turn number 3 and 4, and now you see down the back straightaway, here comes Hindley again, trying to go to the outside of Markle for the position as he would continue to race well as he would now try to go by the 14 of Richie Urich and get that spot as well with just a few to go. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, nobody was stopping the Jeffer as Jeff Hetzler would pick up the win down at Middletown.
We just had to keep the tires on the car, keep it straight. I knew nobody was going around the outside. I just had to pace myself and keep my head. I really got to thank Ron Roberts, Faye Marion, the 14H Racing Team for really giving me this opportunity. They are based out of Delaware. Why they gave me a race car to race is beyond me, but I love them.
Jeff Hetzler would pick up the modified feature win at the Orange County Fair Speedway. Billy Van Imogen would finish in second, Bob McGann in third, Tim Heinley fourth, and Richie Urich would round out your top five. On opening night, it was Matt Shepard picking up the victory as one of many invaders at the Fonda Speedway. The question was, with other tracks opening up in the Northeast taking those invaders away, would things return to form at the Track of Champions? The Modifieds were back in action, and there was a little bit of excitement before we got to the feature event as Alton Palmer took a tough roll in turn number 2 in his qualifying event. Let's head to the feature event, though, now as the Apollo Rocket. Josh Owen Force would lead the field to the green in the early going up into turn number 1 and 2. Car on the move early in the event, and this is no shocker. Stuart Friesen to the inside lane of the 20. Craig Hansen trying to make his way up through the field, trying to bounce back from a tough week a week ago. The 2RJ of Ronnie Johnson on the outside lane also looking to bounce back as he goes to the outside of the 21P of Pep Karate. As we have a race for the lead as well as Justin Bowler going to try to go to the inside of the 6H of Josh Owen Force. This time Bowler would make a bid to the inside, but it would be the Apollo Rocket off of turn number 4 carrying the momentum as he would keep the race lead in the early going. Stuart Friesen would make his way to the inside of Ronnie Johnson here to take the position away as Friesen would be on the move and was going very fast off the RJ Bobble. And now it would be the 50J of Justin Bowler that Friesen would get by next. And of course, Friesen wasn't done there, ladies and gentlemen, as Owen Force bobbles just a little bit in turn number 1 and 2, and that was all she wrote as Stuart Friesen would take the easy pass through turn number 1 and 2 once again in that Tad Park's own machine. Friesen, nobody was touching him once again as he would pick up his first win of the 2014 season.
The cushion was just pretty touch and go, and we were able to get up there and just touch it where we needed to and get shots off it. He just got a little tight there. So, springtime track conditions, it's tough. It's night and day difference than what it was last week, and I know everybody's working hard on it. We're just proud to be here, and, we're going to put our best foot forward and try as hard as we can all year.
Mr. Freeze strikes again at Fonda as Stuart Friesen would pick up the win. The Apollo Rocket Josh Owen Force would finish in second. Justin Bowler would finish third. Ronnie Johnson bouncing back with the top 5 this week, finishing fourth. And Jimmy Davis would round out the top 5. It's now time for our fan poll question for this week, which is, what is your favorite type of food to have at the racetrack? Log on to Race Pro Weekly via Facebook or Twitter to cast your answer. Taking a look at our fan poll answers from a week ago with the question of who would win the opening night modified feature event from Albany-Saratoga, 17.14% of you picked Mark Johnson to pick up the win. 28.57% of you picked Brett Hearn, who finished in second. A lot of you also picked Kenny Tremont, Matty D, who finished in the top 5 as well on the night. A lot of great picks, but if you picked Mark Johnson, you were the winner.
The action, the battles, the excitement. Get ready for 800 horsepower of ground-shaking racing. The Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds are coming to your town. Be there to witness the mighty Big Blocks.
The Big Block Modifieds are returning to Fonda Speedway to the High Bank Holdup. Be there to witness the Big Blocks battle the 3/8 mile high banks and witness the first Super Dirt Car Series event of 2014. Saturday, April 26th, Fulton Speedway, County Road 57, Fulton.
Performance, quality, service. That's DMC Racing Products. Hundreds of name brand parts, competitive prices. That's DMC. DMC Racing Products, race to win. Taking a look at some of the storylines that took place over the past weekend and going into this week, we start off at the Lebanon Valley Speedway. The 143 of Milo Campbell started one opening night with Chad Jezio in it. This week had the driver Rob Yetman in it. Rob's just sitting on his couch on Saturday afternoon when Milo sent him a text. had him bring his fire suit and helmet, and he was there as he was driving the Pro Stock into a big finish on Saturday night. At the Albany-Saratoga Speedway this past Friday night, you may have noticed that Jimmy Davis was piloting the Morris Auto Group car number 3, usually driven by Mark Kozlowski each and every Friday night. This was due to a family emergency as Mark's son Jack was in Albany Med with a ruptured appendix. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Kozlowski family from everyone here at Race Pro Weekly. Down on the hard clay this past weekend, Jeff Hetzler moved into third all-time on the wins list in the modified division by picking up his 48th career win on the 5/8 mile oval. On opening night at the Lebanon Valley Speedway, Donnie Corellis was the first driver to cement his name into victory lane for the Big Block Modifieds, stopping Brett Hearn's streak of 3 straight opening night wins. Could the Jersey Jet get back to form and continue his dominance in the early season? Let's take a look and find out. High speed, always the main attraction at the Lebanon Valley Speedway as they got ready to go for their 30-lap modified feature with Matt Papello and Mike King leading them down on the front row. Papello would take the early race lead as they headed up into the east end of the speedway. A couple cars on the move early. You see the 43 of Keith Flack in the background, Wayne Jelly making his way up as well, and Andy Bacchetti into the number 3 spot into the early going. Wayne Jelly would have been the fastest car on the racetrack in the first 15 laps of this event as he go right underneath the 97 of Hackle for the number 2 spot and now set his sights on Matt Papello. Keith Flack was on the move as well as he go to the inside of Bobby Hackle trying to take the number 3 spot away, and he would as they headed into the corner, and now the race for the lead was set as Jelly had run down the number 42 machine as they head down the back straightaway. Caution will come on the speedway just past the halfway point for the DealsOnWheels.net car number 17 of Robbie Pitcher, and that would put the defending champion, the Jersey Jet Brett Hearn, into the fray as he would get the 43 of Keith Flack on the outside for the number 3 spot. Contact between your top two, and what a save by Wayne Jelly, keeping the number 2 spot away as Papello and him made contact on it, which now put Brett Hearn right behind him. Jelly would go to the inside of Papello once again to try to take the position away. Brett Hearn lurking in the background. This time would have been Brett Hearn's best chance on the outside to get Jelly, but he couldn't do it as Jelly shut the door. In turn number 4, however, Brett Hearn switched lanes to the inside, and he got by Jelly for the number 2 spot and would set his sights on the race lead with 7 laps remaining. Next time around, Papello would slide up just a little bit too much, and that would allow the 20 of Hearn to get underneath him, and he would take the race lead once again, and that would be all she wrote as the Jersey Jet Brett Hearn picks up win number 1 of the 2014 season.
I think the biggest thing was, we've been piling up seconds, and we haven't had a win since the 5th week of last year. So I'm thinking to myself, starting 16th tonight, that I'd come too far not to win this one, and that's kind of the way I felt about it. We had a good car tonight, really good car, and but it wasn't easy by any means.
Brett Hearn gets back to form with win number 1 of 2014. Wayne Jelly would come home in the number 2 spot. Third would be Matt Papello. 4th, Keith Flack, and Colby Schroeder would round out your top 5. 358 modifieds would take to the Speedway at New Egypt as the storyline was, could Billy Pouch win again? We'd find out here before this one is over as a couple cars moving for position. That is the 81 of Willie Osmond and the 29 of Sammy Piazza. The battle was towards the front of the field, however, as Jimmy Blewett would barrel to the inside of the 1 of Pouch, trying to take the number 3 spot away off of turn number 3 and 4. He would complete the slide job up in front of him and take the spot away. Ryan Godown would now crack the top 5 right behind him, but now the battle for second would heat up as Pouch goes to the inside lane on Blewett. He'd get him right back to take the number 2 spot. Pouch would now make his way to the inside to work on race leader Darren McCaw as they go up into turn number 1 and 2. Pouch would get the advantage down the back straightaway, and that would be it, ladies and gentlemen, as Pouch comes around to pick up the trifecta with his win at New Egypt. Billy Pouch would pick up the victory. Ryan Godown would come home in the number 2 spot. Sammy Piazza 3rd, Darren McCauley 4th, and Jimmy Blewett would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night at New Egypt would include Mike Butler in the Sportsman, Bill Liedke in the Street Stocks, and Steve Dravicki winning the ARDC Midgets. Flagger Rich Peterson throwing a bit of a green flag out there as we get started with our 25-lap Sportsman feature event. The Albany-Saratoga Speedway is going up into turn number 1 and 2 in the early going. It would be Peter Carlotta with the race lead, sitting there along with the 112 of Dave Baranowski Jr. Johnny the Jet Scarborough, however, would take the race lead up into turn number 1 and 2. Keep an eye on Brett Wright as he was making his way up through the field from his 21st starting position. At this point, he would be just outside the top 5. And now Derek McGrew, Peter Carlotto, and Rocky Warner, a lot of the big guns in the Sportsman division in the area, going at it for position in the early going, all behind Johnny the Jet. As the race would continue into the closing laps, we would have a problem on the 20 of Jack Gentile, who had a brake rotor go on the right front of the machine, and now Brett Wright would make a big move off of this restart as he get by not 1, not 2, but 3 cars to take the number 2 spot away and set his sights on the 61S of Johnny Scarborough. Cars moving through traffic as Timothy Davis gets into Baranowski, which collects a couple cars as Cleveland gets caught up in it, but keeps going. And now off of that restart, this is when Brett Wright would strike. He'd move to the inside of the 61S machine, and the J&D Automotive car number 14 of Brett Wright would be your race leader. Don't ever count out that Cleveland Brothers machine of Connor Cleveland in the 09 as he would make his way up into the top 3 as well, as he would push to try to catch the 14 of Wright. Scarborough would make a move to the outside once again to try to get by the 14, but Brett Wright was holding him off as they kept going down the front straightaway once again. Scarborough would make another bid to the outside lane, and now this time they come around. This would be the white flag. It would be Scarborough trying to make a bid to the inside, just missing a little bit, and turns the car, getting into Rocky Warner and collecting Mike Tholen and a couple of other cars, including Jeremy Pitts and Cody Blue. Rocky Warner would have a left rear flat, which would end his night as he would be sent to the pits. On the restart, it would be the 14 of Brett Wright trying to hold off the 09 of Connor Cleveland. And he would do it with ease as Brett Wright would pick up the opening night win in the Sportsman division.
My dad was working hard in the shop. He took a lot of hours, and he set the car up really good. I want to thank Mark Tobio and Ed Seckles for coming out, helping out tonight. J&D, Ace Apino, Brookside, Bar Construction, Ed Tobio Construction, just a bunch of people that got me here. I just want to thank Andy Speed Shop, everybody.
Brett Wright would pick up win number 1 of the 2014 season. Connor Cleveland would finish in the number 2 spot. John Miller would finish in 3rd. Peter Carlotto 4th, and Jack Spieshak rounding out the top 5. Other winners on the night in the Limited Sportsman, it would be David Amy. Rob Yetman would pick up the win in the Pro Stocks, Randy Miller in the Street Stocks. In the 4-cylinder winners in the single, it was Jeff Donnelly Jr., and in the dual cams, it was Steve Ryan.
Connor, you're second in points after your race down at Orange County. Tell us a little bit about your experience for the first time at the House of Power.
My first race in Orange County was nothing I expected. I expected to go there to make the A-main. Just get in the A-main was going to make me happy. I never expected to run up front and actually lead more laps than I did.
Now you're coming into the second race for the Grit Series at Glen Ridge. Now you raced there last year. I believe you only raced a couple of times. I know you came to the Nationals up there last year. Tell us a little bit about your first experience at the fastest quarter mile on dirt and your expectations going in for this year.
My first time at Glen Ridge, I time trialed 7th. And I don't know if I like short tracks, but that's kind of short for me. I don't know if I really like that short, but it's fast, and I'm looking forward to going there. I'm hoping to even keep our spot in points at second, or even better, and get into the first place position. My dad does everything for me in the shop. We're always there every night working on the cars, and he does everything he can to possibly help me. I got Cleveland Brothers, Dean's Electrical, Saratoga Masonry, Napa Auto Parts from Corinth, Bob's Body Shop, John Leonard's buses, and this car is pretty much dedicated to Jojo DeZarbo, who passed away with cancer. That was on Jumpin' Jacks and Ronnie's crew, so that's basically who rides along with me every time I'm on the track.
It's now time for our DMC Racing Products Driver Spotlight with the Ravina Rocket, Keith Flack.
Race Pro Weekly is brought to you by Racing Electronics, your #1 source for professional race communications worldwide. Rainmaker Productions, co-promoters of the Lou Lazzaro Memorial Race at Fonda Speedway on May 24th. Sheldon Oil Services, recycling for your future. And by Pilot Graphic Designs, signs, banners, decals, and so much more. Give Dan a call today at 315-539-3484.
It's not something you choose, it chooses you. It's something you're born with. It's a passion that consumes you. Being an outlaw is not for the weak. Being an outlaw is in your blood. Only an outlaw can survive a grueling 90-race schedule. 40,000 miles on the road going from track to track. It's not about being posse or all-star. It's about being an outlaw. Only the best can call themselves outlaws. I'm Darren Pittman, World of Outlaws STP sprint car driver, and I'm an outlaw.
There's only one place in the capital region for you to get the full racing action. Stop down at the Bobco video booth at the track or call 518-399-0937. Bobco Racing Video, the next best thing to being there.
Hi everyone, Mimi Lazaro here again with 4 Questions with Mimi. We're here with Pat Ward this time. Pat, I'm going to ask you 4 questions. I'd like you to give me more than just a one word answer. All right. First question is, who inspires you?
In racing?
Sure.
Winston Cup cars?
How about
Dirt cars?
dirt cars?
Oh my gosh.
All right, we'll start over. Think you got someone?
Not really.
All right, we'll go to the next question. You'll get this one.
Okay.
All right, what is more important, setup or motor?
Setup. Definitely setup. Especially here at Fonda, because it's more momentum here. You need to turn in good and have good bite off. So usually a motor's not quite as important here.
Now, next question is going to be, if you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, something that you know now, what would it be involved with racing?
Get a sponsor quicker. I did it on my own for 25, 30 years, and it was tough, but just work hard. That's what we've always done, me and my dad and Jennifer, so that's about it.
Now, if you could change one thing about your division, about the modified division, what would that be?
Draws for the open shows. I start last, I think, everywhere I go. Once you get the season going on a regular night, handicapping, if you're back there, it means you're running good. But showing up at these shows and against this competition and starting in the back, you'll be lucky to qualify.
All right, so now we'll go back to the first question. All right.
Okay.
All right, Pat, who inspires you?
My pit crew? No. You mean as another driver, or?
How about your dad? Does your dad inspire you?
He always did, yeah. We've always worked together. It's unfortunate he's ill health now, can't go to the races with us. I really miss him and my mom being here. Definitely, that's where I got my hard work ethic from, but also my car owner inspires me because everything he touches, he works hard on and goes good, so I got lucky to land this ride and have that happen to me.
I remember the good old days of playing with toys during the races. Looks like he's been enjoying them too as the Pro Stock feature gets started at the Fonda Speedway, leading him up into turn number 1 and 2. The 87 of Walt Brownell would look to make a move as he would have the advantage early. Pete Broderson running there along with Nick Stone and the 7 of Chucky Domblewski trying to get his way up towards the front of the field as a spin would bring out the caution here in the early going of this feature event. 3 cars running for position, Kenny Gates, Ivan Joslin, and cousin Luke Horning, and Ivan Joslin would split Gates and Horning is now a spin in turn number 4 would slow the field down for Gus Hallner as now the caution would come out again. Off of the restart, cousin Luke and Ivan Joslin would now be on Walt Brownell's back bumper as they headed down the back straightaway. Kenny Gates running for position as he would get back in front of him, and now Nick Stone would join the fray as he'd make his way up towards the front in the top 5. Brownell would still be your race leader as you see Broderson now making his way into the top 5 as well, racing with Domblewski and cousin Luke for position. Now the race for the lead would start to heat up as now on the outside lane it would be Ivan Joslin making a move to the outside as he would take the race lead away from the 87 of Walt Brownell. The 49 machine of Joslin would still be your race leader as Kenny Gates would now make a big move to the inside lane as he would try to get to the inside of the 87 of Brownell. And now Nick Stone with a bonsai move makes a little bit of contact as Walt Brownell slides through lap traffic here once again, but Nick Stone would be right on his back bumper off of the corner. They'd make their way through off of turn number 4 once again, and this time Nick Stone would have the advantage off the corner on the outside as he would take the number 2 spot away. However, at the front of the field, nobody was catching Ivan Joslin as he would take the checkered flag, but due to failing post-race inspection, the win would go to Nick Stone. Nick Stone would pick up the win by virtue of the Joslin disqualification. Walt Brownell would finish in second, Kenny Gates third, Pete Broderson fourth, and Chucky Domblewski would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night would be Dave Constantino in the Sportsman's, Dave Horning Sr. in the Street Stock, and Kenny Hollenbeck would win the 4-cylinder feature event. Sportsman division with their opening night at the Lebanon Valley Speedway as Michael Sabia and John Scarborough would lead the field in the green in their 20-lap feature event. John Virgilio already trying to make way on the outside. You see Tommy Johnson and Whitey Slavin trying to make their way up through the field along with the 7 of Timothy Davis and the 61 of Todd Lane. Scarborough giving some early pressure to the 7 of Sabia as that time by he did lead the lap as he would put his bumper ahead on the inside lane as both of them would fight for the majority of the first half of the race. Sabia, you see, would get a little bit of more momentum on the outside lane on the 61 of Scarborough as a caution would slow the field in turn number 2. Scarborough would have something down on the car, which means Virgilio would inherit the number 2 spot here with 13 laps remaining. Timothy Davis on the outside lane trying to make a move as he goes to the outside of the 72 of Ray Hall Jr. Then a caution right in front of your leaders as Nicky Ouellette spins, which collects the 12C of Peter Carlotto and the 21 of Mike Middleton up in turn number 1. Sabia would get by no problem as off the restart he would now have the 35 of Jeff Watson on his back bumper with just a few laps to go. Watson, no stranger to victory lane, but he couldn't get by the number 7 machine on the final chance in turn number 4 as Michael Sabia would go on to pick up win number 1 in the Sportsman division.
This is a brand new car to me. It's my first time ever in a TO, and it seemed to work out. I mean, I can't thank those guys enough, my crew enough. You know, we kept the top all night long. I didn't let anyone get the top on me. A couple guys made a couple good runs on the bottom, but nothing was going to stick as long as I kept the top to myself.
Michael Sabia would start off the season with a win. Jeff Watson would finish in second, John Virgilio third, Tommy Johnson fourth, and Ray Hall Jr. fifth. Other winners on the night in the Pro Stock would be Robbie Speed going back-to-back, and the 3 Beer Stock winners were Hunter Sanchez, Jeff Melt Sr., and Big Ed Hatch. Kyle Welsh and Joey Matrondo would lead the field to the green in the 20-lap Street Stock feature event down on the hard clay at Orange County, as it would be Welsh taking the race lead down the back straightaway as Mike Vigiletti gets caught with a little bit of contact. Vigiletti then, a couple laps later, would go down and take the race lead away as they headed into turn number 3 and 4. He would have a lot of company up front, however, as the Jalopy Jet, Charlie Donald, was make his presence known on the inside lane here as he tried to take the number 1 spot away, and then coming down for lap number 10, he would get the spot as Vigiletti had a little bit of smoke going on his machine. The two would continue to battle for the lead for a number of laps until Donald would get ahead and Vigiletti would do a little bit of a 180 up in turn number 3 and 4, putting him to the rear of the field. Kyle Welsh would get on Donald's back bumper, but he would have no shot as the Jalopy Jet, Charlie Donald, picks up the win. Charlie Donald would pick up the victory, Kyle Welsh finishing in second, John Heckinger finishing third, Emerson Cargan Sr. finishing fourth, and Ron Constable would round out your top 5. Other winners on the night would be Christian Rumsey in the Sportsman and Raphael Carson in the Rookie Sportsman feature event. It's now time to take a look at our weekend battles. At the opener, which was $3,000 to win at the Big Diamond Speedway, Ryan Watt would pick up the victory. Mimi DeSantis would finish in second. Rick Laubach finishing in third. Jeff Strunk fourth. And Frank Cozy would round out the top 5. At the opener at the Lernerville Speedway, Brian Swartzlander would pick up the win. Matt Williamson finishing in the number 2 spot. Eric Rudolph third. Rex King fourth. And Dave Murdoch would finish in 5th. Down on the Ulster County Bull Ring at the Accord Speedway for their opener, Mike Rickey would get the win. Anthony Perego finishing second. Rich Rickey finishing in third. Downtown Jackie Brown coming in fourth. And Tommy Meyer rounding out the top 5. At the opener at the I-88 Speedway, Chad Cook would take home the victory. Mitch Gibbs would finish in second. Brian the Dream Weaver finishing third. Arnie Slade fourth. And Paul Jensen rounding out your top 5. The Jan Corcoran Memorial at the Canandaigua Motorsports Park, which was 64 laps, $6,400 to win, went to Gary Tompkins. Machine Gun Billy Gunn would finish in the number 2 spot. Jimmy Phelps third, Super Matt Shepard fourth, and the Franklin Flyer Billy Decker would round out the top 5. Down at the Sharon Speedway for their opener, Rex King would pick up the win. Jim Racy would finish in the number 2 spot. Rex King Jr. finishing 3rd, Rick Rickner 4th, and Jimmy Weller would round out the top 5. 5 Mile Point Speedway, 2,500 to win, 40 laps the distance for the modifieds. Joey Grahams would pick up the victory. Mike Colson would finish in 2nd, Brian Weaver 3rd, Danny Tyler 4th, and Chad Phelps would round out your top 5. $1,000 feature to win at the Mercer Raceway Park. Frank Guidas would pick up the victory. Jimmy Holden would finish in 2nd, Kyle Fink 3rd, J.R. McGinley 4th, and Sean Flieger would finish in 5th. Down at the Grandview Speedway, Doug Van Miller would pick up the victory. Jeff Strunk would finish in 2nd, Frank Cozy 3rd, Kevin Herthler 4th, and Craig Von Doren would finish in 5th. At the Delaware International Speedway, Jamie Mills would take home the victory. H.J. Bunting finished in 2nd, Matt Jester 3rd, Bo Wilkins 4th, and Brad Trice 5th. Down at the Mahoning Valley Speedway, Jeff Parker would pick up the victory. Kevin Graver finishing in 2nd, Billy Loden 3rd, Ray Deemer 4th, and Alea Geisler would round out your top 5. On the ROC Dirt Tour at the Bridgeport Speedway, Ryan Watt would pick up the victory. Stuart Friesen finishing in 2nd, Rocco Infante 3rd, Jimmy Blewett 4th, and Ron Roberts would round out the top 5.
Sayers Auto Wrecking Incorporated is a towing service and an auto salvage yard. We offer 24-hour roadside assistance and damage-free towing. Our wreckers are radio dispatched for your convenience, and we're AAA approved for your peace of mind. On the auto salvage side, we pay top dollar for junk vehicles and sell a wide variety of used auto parts. We also buy scrap metals, including aluminum, copper, steel, and brass. You can learn more about all we do by calling Sayers Auto Wrecking today at 413-358-4374.
The Choices 301 program takes a multifaceted approach aimed at educating the public about the realities and dangers of what can happen when bad decisions are made inside a motor vehicle. Don't hesitate to designate. If you are a tracker series that would like to be highlighted on Race Pro Weekly, email us at show@raceproweekly.com. On opening night at the Fonda Speedway, Ronnie Johnson got into a tough wreck in turn number 2, destroying a lot of parts on the 2RJ race car. As we take the white flag for this week's show, we take a look at how him and his crew battled back to get the car onto the track this past weekend.
You had a tough week last week. What's it take as a team to come back after something like that?
Well, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of labor. You know, we have a real good pit crew, and on Sunday morning there was probably 10, 12 guys stripping that race car that we wrecked. And fortunately to our sponsors, Carol and Elton Palmer, our pit crew, my family, Shelly, Nikki, we worked all week and came back with a new race car here. We're working on it, trying to get this one to go as good as that one, but hopefully before the end of the night we'll get it.
Tough loss there last weekend. Moving on to this week, I'm sure you want to be as good as you can be. What are your thoughts for going into this season?
Oh, I mean, the way we started out here, it's hard to even think about that. I got a bunch of busted up race cars and stuff right now that we need to regroup on. It wasn't the way we wanted to start, so right now we need to just get back to square one and regroup, and then at that point maybe we can analyze where we need to be for the season.
Now, just give me a little bit of your thought on how much the Duke, Jojo DeSarbo, meant to you and how much you may miss him this year.
Well, you know, it's funny. I keep saying to myself, boy, I miss Jojo. It seems like I keep saying that, and especially, you know, he has a lot of experience he had doing this, and he's left behind a lot of knowledge for the rest of our team, and you know, unfortunately, all these guys picked up on a lot of things he's taught them, and myself as well, and we're going to carry on. You know, our hearts are broken because he's not with us, but you know, it's what we do, and we're going to race without him, and it's what he would want us to do.
It's now time for this week's New York State Stock Car Association Performer of the Week, and it goes to Albany-Saratoga Sportsman driver Brett Wright. Wright is now eligible for the NISCA Performer of the Year award given out at the end of the season. That's all for this week's show. For the latest news, results, and photos, check out Race Pro Weekly online, www.raceproweekly.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So for myself, Matt Knowles, Fast Eddie, Scott Morlock, Dave Del Sandro, and everyone that helps put Race Pro Weekly together, thank you for watching this week's episode, and we'll see you next time.